All right, what is good? What is happening, everybody? It's your boy Primitive AK here, back with another video for you guys. Today, we're going to be going through. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different here. So, normally when I make settings videos, I usually kind of have the settings ready to go when I make these videos, but I'm actually going to do something different. So, I've actually just booted up. For those that I wonder why I haven't made a video on Battlefield despite this game coming out like 12 hours ago. I've actually been at Comic-Con all day, and I haven't really had the opportunity to hop on this game yet. So, I wanted to do something a little bit different because I feel like this is one of the most important videos that you can watch in terms of Battlefield 6 and improving at the game, and that is going to be the overall best settings to use. This is going to be a full in-depth guide primarily for PC, but a lot of this is going to apply to console as well. For PC, we're going to be going through things like such as graphics, so we'll be going through that. But the controller settings on this game are extremely difficult to figure out, so I'm going to try to do my best to really explain some of this and just kind of walk you guys through what's going to be the best overall settings to use. So appreciate you guys showing love and support. Make sure you guys drop a like and subscribe. So I have not changed any of my settings. This is my first time booting up the game, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through each and every setting, so that way you guys have an idea of what I like to do, and then you can sort of tweak them to whatever you feel is best, because the settings that I use may not be ideal for what you use, but for the most part, I'm going to go through the crucial settings that everybody should have on, or everybody should have set to a certain number. So we're going to start with controller first, and then we're going to come back, and then we're going to go through controller or gameplay, and then graphics, and then audio settings as well. So we'll go through all that. We're going to start with controller. This is going to be a long one, guys, but stick with me. So we're going to start at the top. And I like that they changed this menu a little bit. They made it a little bit easier to understand, but it's still kind of all over the place in my opinion. So let's start with the first most important thing, infantry aim sensitivity. I like to float anywhere from 35 to as high as 40. I recommend do not go any higher than 40 here. I just kind of like to keep that as is. Field of view, I recommend bringing this up to about 105. Some people go to 110, some people go to 120. I personally am not a fan of 120. I'm not really a fan of 110 that much. So you can get a lot of usage out of just going at 105. So that's why I decided to stick with this one here. In terms of uniform aiming, I actually am going to turn this off. This is a weird setting, and it messes with your overall turn sensitivity, especially when you're zooming. So I personally would recommend just turning this off for now, and just experimenting with other things here. So vertical aim ratio, oh boy, these settings just get weirder and weirder. So vertical aim ratio, I would recommend turning this down to about 48-ish is about what I usually have it at. I'm actually going to put this here. I'm going to put that at 48. And then vertical zoom ratio, we're going to put it at 80. I'm just going to leave that on default. And like I said, uniform off. Infantry aim assist, obviously you're going to want to set that to 100%. That's kind of a no-brainer. So have this all set to 100. There's no point turning this down unless you just want to prove a point to your friends that you're good at the game. I don't know. If you're into that kind of thing, by all means, no judgment from me. Infantry aim input. I actually have this set to standard. You can set this to like BF1 and BF4. I haven't experimented with this enough. This actually wasn't available, or maybe it was available in the what's it called? The beta. I just don't recall it at all. But if I were to change this, I would probably not change this beyond BF1 and BF4. I think that's going to be the best option there. So just kind of play around with that. Let's see, infantry aim, zoom aim input curve. I'm actually going to change this to, I think I'm going to put this on BF5, only because the aim input curve on that game was actually pretty snappy. And I think that's going to be a little bit better. All right, input acceleration presets. We're definitely going to set this to BF4 because BF4 is the general, like, most friendly one, in my opinion. So that's why I decided to stick with that one. All right, infantry sprint. Yeah, we're gonna set that to toggle. Double tap forward to sprint. We're gonna set that to off. Sprint L3. That's correct. All right, this all looks good. Slide is not bind. That's strange. All right, so my slide is not bound apparently. I thought it was double tap crouch for sprint slide. Okay, so I just gotta double tap it. Okay, never mind. We're gonna leave that on. All right, infantry zoom on. That's correct. All right, this is what I was looking for. Infantry zoom aim sensitivity. Set this to 90. So this is changes so that way when you zoom in with your weapon, it's going to bring down whatever your sensitivity is down to 90% of that value. So whatever, let me scroll up to the top real quick. Whatever this number is going to be 90% of 40. So it's going to bring that number down a little bit so that way you could just sort of fine tune your aim a bit. You can toggle specific zoom scopes if you want to do that. I'm not going to mess with any of that because I don't really need it. I don't really use bigger scopes. Let's see. We're not using any of those settings. Now the flick look, I actually made a video covering flick look back in the beta. Essentially what it does is it lets you literally do a full 180 turn or a turn to the left or right based on a specific input. I'm actually going to leave this off for now, but if you do want to use flick look, I would recommend turning on flick look backwards to your down directional pad on your controller. That way you can essentially turn on your enemies. But for now, I'm not going to use it. I'm just jumping in the game right now, so I'm going to leave that off. Buttons and controls, I have this set to default because I do have a 4-paddle scuff controller. This is going to help me a lot in terms of using some of my gadgets and being able to reload and sprint all at the same time. Ground vehicles, I'm not going to mess with these right now because I'm not really using vehicles. However, I would sort of mimic whatever you have on your infantry settings here. So like sensitivity, I would set this to a little bit lower than what your actual aim sensitivity is for, you know, regular weapons. And then just sort of mimic all the other controls as well there. But we're not going to mess with vehicles too much. Transport, we're going to leave as is. Airport, helicopters, we're all going to leave this as is just for now. But actually, I am actually going to turn this down. This is for your gunner. I recommend turning that down to 90. And let's just double check to make sure there's no other settings we're missing here. All right, controller tuning. This one's actually pretty important. For those that wonder how I got to this, so that way you don't get lost. In the infantry settings, you just scroll all the way down. And then you're going to go to control tuning. And that will take you into this menu. Control vibration, turn it off. You don't need it. Vibration intensity, yes, this shall be off now that we turn that off. Controller left stick, center dead zone. I'm actually gonna put this at 10 for now. And we're gonna put that at a comfortable 10. Axial dead zone, I usually set this to around 7. And then maximum input threshold 100. That looks good. Or actually, hang on. I just realized this is the wrong stick. That's the left stick. So left stick, we're going to set this to no higher than 2. Should be pretty solid. Axial, we're going to set this to about 8. And then the right stick is the one I need to set to 10. So we're going to want to slow the input on that one. All right, that looks solid. Controller triggers. I have this set to 0 and 100 on both of them. The reason why is because if you have no dead zone issues, you want to set this to the lowest value. And same for max, you want to set it to the highest. I have mouse click triggers on my controller. So literally I just press a button and it's a mouse click essentially. So I don't have like triggers where it goes down essentially. So that's why I have this set to the highest and lowest possible values here. All right, rock solid. So that's pretty much it for controller settings as far as I'm concerned. Like I said, you're gonna have to tweak this a little bit. And matter of fact, I think I'm actually gonna go back and turn this sensitivity down a little bit just so I can get in the groove of this game. We're gonna put this at about 36. I don't recommend going under 35 just because then it becomes a little bit way too slow. And, you know, just kind of adjust. If you notice that you're undershooting your targets or you're not moving fast enough, then you want to turn it up. If you notice that you're overshooting your targets, you're over aiming, or it's a windy shot, you want to turn it down. All right, so that looks solid there. We'll go over to gameplay. I'm going to take a look at some of these settings here, see what we got. Capture area outline, that looks solid. We did it, sensitivity already. Vault over sprint, we'll leave that on. Mount type, looks good. Yeah, these are general gameplay settings. We kind of went through all of these already. Vehicle aim, input curve. I'm going to put that to BF1. Zoom, input curve. BF1, BF4, that looks solid. All right. Accessibility, I don't think there's any settings in here. I like to have subtitles on. That's just a personal thing. I like to see the information that I'm working with. All right. Looks solid. Play incoming tech. Nope, we don't want that. Menu tutorials. We'll leave tutorials on because I'm a kind of a noob right now. All right. Looks solid. We'll take a look at gameplay settings here. Yeah, most of these are settings I've already went through. That looks good. That looks good. Aim assist curve looks good. Yeah, in terms of aim assist, I would try to mimic BF4 as much as you can because that was probably the best game in my opinion. Campaign, we're not playing campaign right now. We did controller settings. That looks good. All right, now we're going to move into the graphics. This is for my PC players out there. All right, so I want to make it very clear before I do these settings that I do have a very expensive, powerful computer. So some of the settings that I use here may not be right for you. Just bear that in mind when you do this. So you want to make sure you're adjusting to whatever your actual PC settings is. So let's start with, I don't want to use a performance preset. So I'm going to set a graphics quality. We're going to set this to... I'm going to start ultra for now, but the goal is I'm going to put this at 2K because I think it's at 4K right now. I usually always play ultra at 2K. Mesh quality, ultra. But if you're looking for frames, put this down to like low. I always recommend putting texture quality at the highest just because texture quality is very important on big maps. That way you can see your targets a lot better. I'm going to put sun shading down a little bit. Lighting quality, high. Volumetric, I'm going to put to high. Terrain, high. Mesh, I'm going to turn that one down a little bit. Reflections. SSR, we'll put to low. Reflection, we'll put to medium. High fidelity, that looks good. Alright, I'm trying to find the setting where I can change the DLSS. That's what I'm looking for here. Oh, we're going to put this on enable, or enable and boost, actually. Frame limiter off. Frame gen. We're going to leave frame gen off because I think this causes input delay. Anti-aliasing. Alright. We'll do performance overlay. Oh, there's a performance overlay. Let's see. Oh, that is a lot of data. Holy. I think maybe when I get used to this game, I would have that on, but for now, we're just going to leave it at simple. Just so I can keep track of how my game is running. All right, there we go. DLSS. That's what I was looking for. Alright, we're going to do performance. And future frame rendering, we don't want that. It's going to cause input delay. Motion blur. Ooh, yes, turn this all the way down, baby. Matter of fact, let me bring in the mouse here. Turn that all the way down. Camera shake, turn this as far down as you possibly can. Chromatic aberration, turn it off. Vignette, turn it off. Film grain, turn it off. I don't know why we still have that. All right, resolution's at 2K. That looks solid. Aspect ratio, we'll leave that default, obviously. Infantry HUD looks good. Advanced HUD settings. Let me see if I can change a couple things here. HUD padding. I was just curious what that does. All right, we'll just leave that there. Kill feed icons 100%. Enable ping. I don't want ping in the kill feed. Minimap. I'm going to set this to medium. I like a bigger minimap. Cone opacity, cone edge. View rotation, looks solid. I may mess with these more, but for now I'm going to leave them as is. World log, show loot. That's probably for BR, I'm assuming. Alright, that all looks good. And we are on 2K, which looks good. A brightness I'm going to have to play with because some of these maps are pretty dark, so I may end up turning some of this up. But the rest of it looks pretty good. Display, I'm going to have to... I have this on borderless only because I have a lot of recording software running, so I need to be able to tab out pretty quickly. Otherwise, if you're not me and you're not a content creator, just put this on full screen. Just my personal preference. Vertical sync. Oh. I don't want vertical sync on. We're going to leave that off. Give me all the frames, baby. Chat visibility. I'm going to leave chat always on. I kind of like to see the trash talk in there. We're going to turn some of this all... Definitely have all chat on. We are there for the salt, baby. Chat channel indicator looks good. Chat height looks good, looks good, looks good. All right. I think the rest of that's pretty solid. VSync is off and it is on the correct monitor. Yes, it is. Audio settings. I don't change audio settings in game only because I have a mix amp that controls my audio. So that's why I don't mess with any of that. Sound system. I don't know if I should be messing with any of these. I probably should, like, just leave it for now. I'm just curious to see. I'll leave it as stereo for now. Someone told me War Tapes was always the best one. If I remember correctly, that's the one I used a while ago. Push to talk. I'm going to change that key. Cancel. Is there not a button I can change that to? We're going to change that to alt. I like to talk my trash, so we're going to leave that on. Input device. I'm going to set this to my Elgato. Yep. That looks good. VoIP stats. Oh, I don't really need those. I don't need that information, so we're going to leave that off. Let me make sure the audio is going through the correct channel. Enable radio music. That looks solid. System looks good. Command console. I don't really need command console. Streamer mode. I'm not famous enough for that, so we're going to leave that. Scoreboard ping. Yes, definitely turn scoreboard ping on so you can see what server you're in. This will allow you to kind of see your ping and figure out if you're in a good server or not. All right, extras. All looks good. Looks good and looks good. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for sitting through that with me. Like I said, I figured it'd be better if I just kind of do this with you guys, you know, from scratch, so you guys can kind of see why I choose certain things. As I mentioned before, this is a work in progress, so I may end up changing some of this stuff. But in terms of just me getting in the game and starting out, this is exactly what I would recommend that you guys start with and then just sort of build from there. Because, you know, some things may feel a little bit off for you. I play very fast paced, so that's just something to keep in mind. But I'm going to jump in some games, guys, and hopefully you guys do enjoy this video. We'll have plenty of Battlefield videos coming out in the coming days, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. It's your boy Primitive AK, signing out. Peace out, fellas.